Cocoa Beach is your ultimate Florida beach vacation. Pack your bags and open your mind. Adventure is calling from Orlando's closest beach. Cocoa Beach is Florida's secret gem that's got it all. It's the budget-friendly, retro-cool destination that families and surfers adore. Come soak up the sun and ride the East Coast's most famous waves. Start planning your one-of-a-kind getaway now at visitspacecoast.com. That's visitspacecoast.com.
Hello and welcome to History for Weirdos.
We're your hosts, Andrew
and Stephanie.
And each week, we're going to take you on a journey into the strange, obscure, and relentlessly entertaining corners of human history.
Now listen up, friends, because it's about to get weird.
What's going on, Weirdos? Welcome to episode number 57 of the History for Weirdos podcast.
We are back. We are happy to be here with another Weird History episode.
Exactly. And before we dive into it this week, I wanted to give two recommendations to y'all.
Yes.
And these are, in a surprising twist of fate, non-history related recommendations.
Well, I'd say one of them is kind of history.
Oh,
related.
yeah. Well, one's alternative history.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just recently started watching this TV show called For All Mankind. And it's basically an alternative reality to what happened with the space race.
Yes.
And
so it starts with man landing on the moon.
Right. And everyone's watching, like, it's June of 1969. You know, someone's landing on the moon, and all of a sudden a big Soviet flag is planted. And you're like, what? And then it pretty much just goes off from there. And every season is like a short period of time. But between seasons, you kind of jump between the decades. So like season 1 was like 1969 and like the early 70s. Season 2 was the early 80s. And then we just started season 3 and we're like in the mid 90s.
Yeah. It's really interesting. It is alternative history. So like it's interesting to see what the show keeps. As the history that we know and what things change. And it's kind of fun to see if you can pick up on the subtle differences that come up.
Exactly.
Obviously, it involves the space race, so there's such a big focus on NASA and astronauts and space technology, and it's just really cool.
Right.
It's a very good show. We were watching it, and we said multiple times that we thought our podcast listeners would love this show.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also for number 2, I binged a limited series podcast, I guess is the best way to describe it. There's only 10 episodes. There will only be 10 episodes of, if you're a Game of Thrones fan, it's a reimagining of Season 8. And I have to say, it's called, I think it's Game of Thrones Season 8 Redux.
Yeah.
And the story is vastly superior to that of the show.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, in my mind, this isn't reality, but in my mind, it's canon. I think the only gripe I have with it is that some of the production quality isn't great at times, but the story itself is fantastic.
Yeah, and production quality not in it's cheesy or anything. It's just a sound thing.
Right, it's just the sound thing. I think they got together a bunch of different voice actors, and some of them I think are amateur, not professional voice actors, right? And they they had limited, I think, capabilities.
But it's really good. It's really well done. So many of the voices sound like the voices.
Oh my god, the guy who did Jon Snow, it's exactly the same.
Yeah, they sound like the voices from the Game of Thrones TV show. So it's really good. Obviously, that's not history, but who doesn't love Game of Thrones?
Right.
And it's
And who doesn't love, crapping on Season 8 of Game of Thrones?
Exactly. Exactly. So those are the two recommendations Andrew and I, mostly Andrew, was really excited to share with you. You binged the Game of Thrones Season 8 Redux.
Probably in 3 days.
Yeah.
Full. And every episode is over an hour long.
Yeah.
Or roughly, I say on average is an hour. Some are shorter, some are longer. But yeah, and it's a full 10 episodes.
And you thought it was satisfying?
It was very satisfying. Yeah.
I only listened to a couple episodes.
Right, and they were good, right?
They were really good.
And the first episode is it sets up everything, so it's a little bit of a slow burn, but every episode after that just gets faster and faster and faster. Incredible.
So we hope you all enjoy those recommendations.
Yes.
Oh, also, do I have my phone with me?
Do you have your phone with you?
I took a picture of a book that I thought you all might enjoy, I specifically covered Josephine Baker in a previous episode of our podcast. She was an American performer, but she gained fame in France, and she did some time as a spy in World War II.
Yes.
And we went on a Barnes & Noble date last night.
Because of course we did.
Because we're nerds, you guys. You know that.
You know that.
You know who we are. So we went on a Barnes & Noble date, and I saw this. It's called Agent Josephine, American Beauty, French Hero, British Spy by Damian Lewis. I definitely want to read it at some point, and I thought you all would enjoy it as well.
Exactly. Well, that's a few recommendations, some that we, I guess more than we typically give you. So I hope you guys enjoyed them.
Yes. Please let us know if you like us giving recommendations. If you don't, and you don't want to hear what we like, that'll be really hurtful, but I guess you could tell us that too.
But yeah, for whatever makes the podcast better.
Yes. Really, we just want the podcast to be good. So whatever you all like, we're down.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess, Stephanie, it is your week this week, so why don't you regale us with a tale?
I will. I want to give a quick shout out to our lovely listener, Jess, for recommending this story idea.
Oh, nice.
She is a fellow history lover, and she has a great Instagram account called Royalty Past and Present, and I believe she's launching her own history podcast next year.
Oh, cool.
So definitely check her out on Instagram. Again, that's Royalty Past and Present. And thank you so much, Jess, for this idea. So like I said, Jess DM'd us and I jumped at the chance to take this one because I promise this is relevant, despite my lactose intolerance that I developed in my 20s, I'm a major cheese enthusiast, okay? And that is relevant for today because we will be discussing the Nottingham Cheese Riot.
And I love you had to say it in an English accent.
I didn't even realize I did that. I think that's how I've been reading it in my head.
It's hard to say Nottingham just with an American accent,
Yeah.
It's like Nottingham.
Yeah, in my head I keep reading Nottingham.
Nottingham. Yeah, there we go.
But it's the Nottingham Cheese Riot. And for all of those wondering, my favorite cheeses...
we were all wondering.
I knew it.
I mean, I wasn't because I know, but...
Blue cheese. Ugh. Amazing. Shut up, babe. Burrata cheese. Incredible on everything.
Do I like burrata?
Yeah. Andrew doesn't remember what cheeses he likes.
Yeah, I literally have to ask Stephanie, do I like this cheese? And she knows. To a T, even cheeses I haven't tried, I'll ask, hey, do I like this or would I like this? And she'll be like, nope or yes. And I think she's never been wrong.
Yeah, that's called being married. You get weird abilities like that.
That is so weird.
Like knowing your partner's cheese preferences. And then my third, these are no particular order, you all. This is, they're not ranked, right? So it's blue cheese, burrata, and then number 3 is cotija cheese, which is from Mexico. If you get cotija cheese, it's amazing, but then they sell a wheel of it, and it has chile on the outer edge. Oh, that's amazing. Okay, babe, what's your favorite cheese?
I don't think I even have one, to be honest. Maybe just sharp cheddar. I know it's so basic.
I'm so embarrassed for you right now. That was so embarrassing.
Right, I'm sure everyone thinks that.
Everyone's really embarrassed for you.
Yeah.
So definitely. Now that we've discussed cheese, I'm going to get on with this story.
Oh my god. Yes, please do.
I swear, everyone, I am not under the influence of anything.
Guys, she's a sober Sally. This is just her normally.
Just want to talk about cheese, okay?
Yeah.
I'll start a cheese podcast next.
Yeah.
What's your favorite cheese? What are we doing? Okay, so it was October 2nd, 1766.
Oh, nice.
In Nottingham, England. And the annual Goose Fair was in full swing.
Okay, what?
For many generations, folks had gathered at the Goose Fair to buy and sell livestock, food, and artisanal goods.
But why is it a goose fair?
That's a really good question.
Are there geese?
This This fair was originally created, actually, to honor the feast of St. Matthew the Apostle around 1,000 years ago.
Nice.
And it does not have anything to do with geese, as one might think.
So are they, like, honoring Maverick's, like, wingman?
Yeah.
Okay.
So 1776 was a tough year.
You mean 1766?
Yeah.
You're so American.
It just slipped to the tongue. America just bleeding out of
America.
me. That's going to be really hard, actually. 1766 was a tough year at the Goose Fair due to poor harvests and then subsequent food shortages just across Europe. Mm-hmm. Because of these shortages, obviously prices for food were skyrocketing. And in general, the people of Nottingham were understandably on edge. They were like in a big period of scarcity. But there are some interesting facts, just a quick sidebar about the year 1766 that I thought was really interesting. In March of that year, King George III signed a bill repealing the Stamp Act.
Ooh.
Does this ring a bell?
That rings a bell.
After much debate in the English Parliament, which included an appearance by Ben Franklin.
I think I know him.
Yeah, I've heard of that guy. Arguing for the repeal of this act and warning of a possible revolution in the American colonies if the Stamp Act was enforced by the British military. Interesting. Spoiler alert, he's right. Big spoilers.
Spoiler alert on the American Revolution. I love it.
It happens.
It happens, guys, in case you didn't know.
Really interestingly, another big thing that happened this year was Charles Edward Stuart, a.k.a. Bonnie Prince Charlie, becomes the new Stuart claimant to the throne of Great Britain. He is the new figurehead of the Jacobite Revolution movement, and I think he's known as the Young Pretender. I think so. I think his dad was the Old Pretender, and he's the Young Pretender. Could you tell that I hate him when I said his name?
Yeah, I could really tell. And you guys couldn't see it, but her face had a lot of like derision on it. And I mean, if you have seen the Outlander TV show, like he is portrayed as, I mean, to put it frankly, like a little bitch.
I only base my opinion on him from Outlander.
I was gonna say, like, I don't know if that's even remotely like historically accurate.
I don't know anything else about him.
Yeah, but like.
But because of...
I mean, to be honest, I have read a little bit about him, and he does seem... I mean, he's just making all these, like, poor farmers, like, fight in his, like, rebellions to put his butt on the throne, you know?
Yeah, I'm not down with that at all.
Yeah.
It just was such a sad rebellion.
It was.
Obviously very devastating. But I digress. I just wanted to share that this was a year where, like...
There's a lot of stuff happening.
Shit's about to get turbulent, you know?
Yeah.
So, back to the Goose Fair. Can you guess what one of the big sellers at the Goose Fair was?
Cheese.
Yeah, it was cheese.
Because, of course, like, at a Goose Fair, it's going to be cheese. Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Big wheels of cheese, in fact.
Stephanie's in heaven.
So, this would most likely resemble the cheese that they would have sold in this area. I did look it up.
Okay.
What kind of cheese were they selling? I needed to know.
Yeah.
It would be like a modern day red... I'm not going to say this. Leicester?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's how we think we say it. Red Leicester cheese.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Let's go with it.
Okay. So, as I said, because of food shortages, many folks were advocating to help keep local food local, right?
Oh,
so
wow.
They wanted local farmers and butchers and everyone to sell their stuff within the community.
Mm-hmm. So kind of like almost like farmers markets today.
Yeah, it was like a big farmers market.
Of course, like the Angelinos here were like, oh yeah, farmers markets.
Everyone was wearing Birkenstocks and had like linen pants. It was a really good time.
And man buns.
Yeah. All over the place.
Sounds about right, yeah.
So the idea was for... obviously the farmers and merchants to prioritize selling to their own community so that people wouldn't go hungry so quickly.
Oh, that's sweet.
which seems reasonable enough.
Yeah.
And this is important to keep in mind for later.
Okay.
So everyone's out and about in their Birkenstocks getting some cheese, and they're already feeling pretty tense and anxious at an event that was normally like the highlight of the season.
Okay.
Because there's not a lot of food.
Right.
Then they notice the cheese is really expensive. There were recorded... This is a lovely, weird episode, okay?
Yeah. I'm already loving this.
There were recorded prices of cheese going for 28 to 36 shillings per hundredweight, which I guess means about like 180 pounds for 112 pounds, like 180
Like
British pounds for 112 pounds of cheese. This was very confusing to me. This was apparently more than twice the recorded pricing at another market, the Coventry market, just a week earlier.
Oh, wow.
But the pricing, the way they provided the pricing structure really confused me, because do people buy cheese in 112 pound
Increments?
units? Yeah.
Imagine going to like Trader Joe's today and being like, yeah, I want 100 pounds of cheese. Like that's like, I don't even know how much money that would be.
Yeah, so I don't know, is that expensive?
I mean, I guess, yeah.
It was expensive to them.
It's
That's all that
expensive
matters.
to them,
They're
yeah.
really upset. They don't understand what it's like to live in 2022 in corporate America with inflation. So this is upsetting to them.
Yeah.
They haven't seen our gas prices.
They'll be like, what is gas?
So on top of the expensive cheese prices, which had people really upset, a group of merchants from another county in Lincolnshire show up, and they start buying up all the cheese because they wanted to resell it in
At even
other
higher
counties.
prices?
At even higher prices in other counties.
Oh my God.
So remember, they wanted to keep their food local. So this really pissed people off.
Oh, yeah.
The merchants soon found themselves surrounded by some angry, quote-unquote, lads who demanded they not take the cheese out of Nottingham. When the merchants refused, violence quickly broke out.
Okay, you know what? If there is time travel, I'm 100% convinced that you started this riot.
Okay. You've caught me. I totally would have. I would have been one of these angry lads. I would have started a riot for
I think
the
a
cheese.
lad is a male.
Yeah, it's a past life.
Okay,
So-
fair enough. Oh, no, time travel. Oh, past life, yeah.
There we go.
There we go.
So there's violence, and then that is followed by widespread looting of cheese. Shop windows, were broken, and hundreds of cheese wheels were thrown and rolled down the streets. The mayor of Nottingham attempted to restore order, but he was reportedly knocked over by rolling cheeses and rendered unable to stop the townspeople.
I mean, there are like just certain events in history where I just want to go back and just be on a fly on the wall and be like, what is happening here?
Yeah, I just want to be there for the chaos.
Yeah.
And the cheese. So some locals armed themselves and then set up roadblocks on the city streets to prevent any merchants from carrying away the cheeses. A boat near Trent Bridge was seized. So like a merchant ship.
Yeah.
And its cargo of cheese was looted, even though the ship captain had offered, I'll just sell you these cheeses at super low cost. Please don't loot my ship. They all looted all the cheese and ran off with it.
They really wanted their cheese, man.
Who doesn't?
Yeah.
So local authorities began making arrests to restore order. But it seems that they were overwhelmed and outnumbered because the chaos continued, and they called for the military to restore order.
This just gets better and better.
That's pretty amazing. At this time, Nottingham was also a garrison town.
Okay.
Meaning that troops are already stationed there.
Oh, yeah.
So the 15th Dragoons were deployed.
And I think dragoons would be like Marines on like horses.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Tragically, though, the dragoons fired shots
Oh my god.
at civilians, causing multiple injuries and 1 death.
Oh my god, over cheese. Someone literally died over cheese.
Sorry. Too soon. William Eggleston was killed after having been mistaken for a looter because he was standing next to like a big pile of cheese. But in reality, he was a cheese farmer and he was protecting his cheese against the looters, and he got shot and died.
Wow.
So typical. Several citizens were then detained and brought before the magistrates in their private homes. But then a mob attacked where these people were detained. And they began smashing the windows and trying to light fire to the houses. So the magistrates released everyone that was detained without charges. It got really rowdy, I guess.
Yeah, that's one rager right there.
This civil unrest that started at the Goose Fair over cheese continued for several days. It was just chaos on the streets until the military was finally able to restore order. But there were other food-related riots in neighboring counties that year.
Oh my god, so it like spread?
Yeah. After that, Devon and Cornwall also experienced like similar patterns of like, wait, the prices are so high. What do you mean you're just going to take this and sell it elsewhere?
Right.
And then they started rioting too.
Oh my god, that's so insane.
So insane. So, fast forward to 2016.
Oh wow, we made a jump here.
A little bit. It
Just
was
a bit.
the 250th anniversary of the Nottingham Cheese Riot.
Nice.
And they decided to commemorate this anniversary. The Lord Mayor of Nottingham, Mohammed Zagir, he partnered with local cheese shops.
Aww.
To sell cheese and honor the cheese riot.
In remembrance?
In remembrance of the day,
like
the cheese
days.
The days of cheese rioting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nottingham reportedly still hosts an annual Goose Fair. But today it's more about like fair rides and games, and it's less about cheese and rioting.
You know what? I really want to go to the Goose Fair and then like bring in cheese and just be like, I'm selling it for like 10 times the market price.
And
just see what happens.
Just madness ensues.
Yeah. It's just like, some men just want to see the world burn. That's just me with cheese.
Of course.
Right?
Yes. So that, our lovely listeners, it's a brief story, but I thought it was a beautiful one to tell of the Nottingham Cheese Riot.
I don't know if I would describe it as beautiful, but it is incredible.
Okay, beautiful is probably the wrong one.
Yeah, you were just thinking of the cheese, and beautiful was the word that came to mind.
You know me really well.
I know.
That's
I do.
Exactly what happened.
I know. I'm really sad for you and for me.
This was a weird episode even for us.
Yeah, even for us, this is a weirdo episode.
I misplaced one of my sources. Obviously, Wikipedia was a major source, and then an article on Mental Floss, just called The Nottingham Cheese Riot. And there was a third one that I misplaced. So if I find it, I'll definitely link it in our Instagram post.
Cool.
But again, I just want to thank Jess for this recommendation, because this was apparently not beautiful, but incredible. It's a story to tell.
Yeah, no, I mean, I will say this was definitely... This is like the point of history for weirdos, like these types of stories. Like we have ones that are more like, unsung heroes that deserve more praise, or just like people who are just weird in their time, maybe good, maybe bad, whatever. This is just like the other side of where it's like things that are forgotten but are so absurd, like we need to talk about them. This
was so absurd. I needed to talk about it.
Yeah.
That is so well said.
I'm glad you did.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Even though you're not a cheese lover, and you it was super embarrassing when you said that cheddar was your favorite earlier.
Sharp cheddar.
Sharp cheddar?
Yeah.
I think you were a great audience. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Well, okay, come on. Tillamook sharp cheddar cheese. You have to admit, that's dank.
Did you get the little snack ones when you were a kid? They were in these teeny little squares.
I know what those are, but my mom never bought them.
Oh, no.
You know what You're gonna be disgusted.
What did you eat instead? Don't tell me. Kraft.
Yeah. The little that came in the plastic wrap.
No.
Yeah, that's why I didn't really like cheese growing. I was like, this stuff's kind of nasty.
I
mean, it is nasty.
Those Kraft singles can be good if you make them on a really buttery grilled cheese.
Oh yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah.
But otherwise, they're not very good. I'm sorry. I hope I didn't offend anyone listening to this.
Yeah, Stephanie is a cheese snob. You know how there's some people who are winos and they're like, oh, I only like 2016 blah, 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 you know?
Yeah.
That's you with cheese.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
We got to go to a very, very old, hundreds of years old cheese shop in London.
Oh, it smelled so bad.
I wanted to live there and never leave. It was so cool. I love cheese. The gods don't love me. Like I said, I now have developed lactose intolerance, so yeah.
I know, that's such a cruel irony.
It is very cruel. But I've heard that sometimes, since you can randomly develop it, you can also heal from it.
That's true.
I'm going to work on healing that so I can go to the Goose Fair, have some cheese, cause some rioting.
Well, I mean, every time we go to Europe, it's fine because their practices with food is just so much cleaner than ours, to be honest.
Yeah, it has not been a problem in Europe. You're right.
Yeah.
Guess we got to move to Europe.
Yeah. Well, weirdos, thank you so much for listening to our story. As always, you can find us on Instagram at History for Weirdos. Please drop us comments or send us messages if you want. Give us more suggestions because, occasionally we do listen to them.
Yes, we do love to hear your suggestions. Let us know any feedback you have for the show. Thank you, as always, so much for listening. If you think you know anyone who might like the podcast, please recommend it. That seems to be one of the biggest ways that people find the podcast is via recommendations. And thank you all for being a part of this community.
Yeah, thanks, weirdos. Until next time.
Thank you, weirdos. Bye.
Cocoa Beach is your ultimate Florida beach vacation. Pack your bags and open your mind. Adventure is calling from Orlando's closest beach. Cocoa Beach is Florida's secret gem that's got it all. It's the budget-friendly, retro-cool destination that families and surfers adore. Come soak up the sun and ride the East Coast's most famous waves. Start planning your one-of-a-kind getaway now at visitspacecoast.com. That's visitspacecoast.com.
We all know a guy who only occasionally shaves for big occasions, and it's because that occasional shave really hurts. It's the time of year for big occasions, and yet there he is, suffering with that cheap drugstore razor. Let's help him out. Henson Shaving's line of razors, built with aerospace precision, deliver a smooth shave your dad, brother, and even son can enjoy, eventually. With replacement blades just 10 cents each, you'll buy it once, and they'll use it for life. How's that for the perfect gift? Celebrate with 100 free blades on your first purchase, and no subscription headaches. HensonShaving.com/holiday.